Before I get into what I'm going to get into today, I want to show y'all a few pictures. Circa 1850 through 1860, these were some Indians destroyed by the California Gold Rush. A monthly record of anthropological science. Negro skeletal remains from Indian sites in the West Indies. The recent paper in this journal by Buxton, Trevor, and Julian implies that an undeformed Negroid physical type inhabited the Virgin Islands in pre-Columbian times. Moreover, I venture to say that few physical anthropologists familiar with American Indian skulls would mistake for Indians those illustrated by Buxton, Trevor, and Julian. Indeed, most physical anthropologists will probably be less conservative and say Negro instead of Negroid. Man and woman of the Outagammis, or Fox Indians, of Wisconsin. This is from 1781. And this dates to 1500 BC. This was found in Mexico. You can see the clear Negroid features. Big lips, big nose. Very prominent. Now, we finna go into this book, History of the United States by John Clark Redpath. The primitive inhabitants of the New World were the red men called Indians. The name Indian was given to them from their supposed identity with the people of India. Columbus and his followers believed that they had reached the islands of the Far East and that the natives were of the same race with the inhabitants of the Indies. The supposed similarity between the two peoples, if limited to personal appearance, has some foundation in fact, but in manners, customs, and character, no two races could be more dissimilar than the American Aborigines and the inhabitants of China and Japan. The origin of the Indian is involved in great obscurity. At what date or by what route they came to the New World is unknown. The notion that the red men are the descendants of the Israelites is absurd. That Europeans or Africans at some early period crossed the Atlantic by sailing from island to island seems highly improbable. That the people of Kamchatka came by way of the Bering Strait into the northwestern parts of America has little evidence to support it. So he's saying this is absurd for the Indians of America to be descendants of Israelites, Europeans, or Africans, or even people from Asia. Now we finna get into their manners. I want y'all to tell me, who does this sound like today? Various amusements were common, such as running, leaping, wrestling, shooting at a mark, racing in canoes along swift rivers or placid lakes, playing at ball, or engaging in intricate and exciting games. The use of tobacco was universal and excessive. And after the introduction of intoxicating liquors by the Europeans, the Indians fell into terrible drunkenness. The Algonquins are taller and lighter in build, a straight and agile race, lean and swift of foot. The eyes are jet black and sunken, hair black and straight, beard black and scant, skin copper-colored or brown, cheekbones high. So a lot of people spread a rumor that the American Indian can't get a beard. But you see, he said that it's black and scant. Scant means that it's just a little bit of it. It's not very much of it. Now we in Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx by Augustus Le Plongeon. This was published in 1900. The learned wranglers on this shadowy and dim point forget that all leading geologists now agree in the opinion that America is the oldest known continent on the face of the planet, that the fossil remains of human beings found in various parts of it, far distant from each other, prove that man lived there in times immemorial, and that we have not the slightest ray of light to illuminate the darkness that surrounds the origins of these primeval men. For those of you who don't know, America has the oldest water, rock, and trees in the entire world, and in fact, it has the largest trees in the entire world. The Maya sages doubtless had reached similar conclusions since they had called their country Mayat, that is, the land first emerged from the bottom of the deep, the country of the chute. And the Egyptians, according to Herodotus, boasted that their ancestors in the land of the West were the oldest men on earth. Now I'm finna use two sources to back up what I just read, and this is one of them. Without Atlantis, how can we explain the fact that the early Egyptians were depicted by themselves as red men on their own monuments? And on the other hand, how can we account for the representation of Negroes on the monuments of Central America? So that tells you that these two different groups of people, when they made depiction of themselves, they depicted themselves similar as red men. Now we going back into this by Dr. R. Swinburne Clymer. America, known to the mystics as Atlantis, when this ruin befell, was the seat of the greatest empire that has ever existed, and its irresistible armies were terrorizing all Europe and Asia. America, or Atlantis, and as the curtain which has hitherto concealed the prehistoric connection between the people of ancient Egypt and of America, is lifted, it will be seen that the people of the eagle on the Nile, being descended from the original people of the eagle on this continent, the twain are one, and that prehistoric America was the original Egypt or Eagle Land prior to the mighty dispensation in the days of Peleg, when the earth was divided and the great globe itself was nearly rent asunder. Says Agassiz, firstborn among continents, America has been falsely denominated the New World. Hers was the first dry land lifted out of the waters. Hers was the first shore washed out by the ocean that enveloped all the earth besides. And while Europe was represented only by islands rising here and there above the sea, America, or Atlantis, already stretched in an unbroken line of land from Nova Scotia to the far west. America was evidently people from the old continent, because there were only 8 persons saved at the deluge, the principal part of their posterity during the whole of the first century after the event occupied the very center of Asia. So this is telling you that the principal part of the posterity of Noah and his descendants were in Asia, while the American Indian were over here.